Tom, we're on the council, but they did not grant us the rank of Master. I don't know, something to do with us not having done which Star Wars characters can beat the mountain or something, apparently. And if that intro wasn't heavy-handed enough, today's topic will be a discussion around Anakin Skywalker and the motivations behind this little scene here, and which canon did it better, the Disney canon or the real canon? I mean, the canon that is actually good. No, wait, I mean Legends! Legends is the word I was looking for. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. When we say this, it makes the YouTube droids happy for some reason, and our Discord server is over here. Help us get this channel to 1,000 subs, and you will win...
My everlasting respect, Master Mundi. Oh.
What a prize, eh? Now on with the video. This scene has become a bit of a meme. But then again, that can be said for every scene from the Star Wars prequels. Like, every single one. In fact, I challenge you to find a scene from the prequels that can't be memed and...
Stay on target.
Oh, right. Sorry, Tom. But this is one of the more significant moments in the prequel trilogy. The refusal to grant Anakin the rank of Master could be seen as the dropping of the final penny Palpatine placed perfectly proceeding plans Palpatine purposely preordained. Try saying that 3 times in a row. But the truly interesting question to ask about this moment, I feel, is why did Anakin want the rank in the first place, and why did it have such an impact on him when he was snubbed of it? This is where the canons differ, the Chosen One's motivations for coveting the rank, and what it means for his character. Starting with the Disney canon, which, whether you like it or not, is also the official canon. The Disney canon leans hard into Anakin's wanting the rank and the subsequent hissy fit when denied it, being motivated by no other reason than because he feels he's earned it. Parking Lot Takes did a segment on this if you want to go and check it out. Honestly, they kind of inspired this video, so please check them out if you haven't already. But in a nutshell, the Disney canon has the retroactive benefit of the Clone Wars cartoon, which provides a representation of Anakin that is more in line with Obi-Wan's words in A New Hope. Anakin is a war hero, damn it! He's won numerous battles, saved countless lives, many of which being his fellow ungrateful Jedi, and is just all round a bit of a badass. He's bled and suffered for the Jedi, and combined with his pride and arrogance, finds it massively insulting when they reward his efforts with what seems to him to be a grave dishonor. It's an outrage driven purely by his character trait. Moving on to the Legends canon. Pride and arrogance also plays a role in Anakin's indignation here, as these are 2 traits that are a staple of Anakin's core personality that persist through both canons, and of course, the Clone Wars cartoon is one of those weird pieces of external media that is canon in both canons. But Legends adds another layer to the Chosen One's frustration that predates the Clone Wars show, a layer that feeds into a plot-relevant aspect. In the Revenge of the Sith novel, we find out Anakin's primary motivation for wanting the rank of Master isn't because he wants the prestige associated with the title, it's the promotion's employee perks he's after. Specifically, access to the restricted section of the Jedi Archives, a section only Masters are granted access to. Anakin believes that the holocrons and gathered knowledge of the restricted section of the Jedi Archives contains knowledge of preventing death. And to be honest, I think the Jedi Masters have given him fair reason to think that, as the most powerful Jedi tend to stay spry well into their old age and generally live far beyond their race's typical lifespan. Of course, our man's going to think there's some sort of fountain of youth in there. But unlike this scar-headed douche, Anakin doesn't have an invisibility cloak, and his main character syndrome's primordial origins are in Greek tragedy, not "Look at me! Woo! I'm a wizard! Woo! Woo!" wish fulfillment. So when Papa Palpy comes along and gives him a fast pass to mastery, Anakin isn't thinking, "Yes, I get to be master. It's about damn time, because I'm super awesome." He's thinking, "Hey, the rank of master? That's cool. I guess I deserve it after all. But to be honest, I'm just glad it'll help me find a way to save Padme." Now, I just want to ramble a second here regarding this plot point. We know as fact George signed off on the novel before the release of the film. In fact, he made substantial edits himself, and that was confirmed by the author. So this motivation might have actually come from him. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, hey George, you can have a 15-minute lightsaber duel, but not a 2-minute scene of exposition like Anakin trying to access the archives and being turned away by Jocasta Nu to work in this motivation. Seems like this information could be important to the plot. To be honest, this is kind of the case for the Revenge of the Sith novel in general. The movie is objectively the best entry in the prequel trilogy, but when you read the novel, you realize it could have actually been so much more, with just a little more depth in the execution. Anakin's motivations here, his mind state during Order 66, and Obi-Wan's knowledge of Anakin's relationship with Padme all get much more exploration and add so much more depth to the characters, and it makes the story make a lot more sense. Please don't take that as me bagging on George, by the way. I absolutely adore that sweet old man and everything he's given us. It's just a little tiny nitpick about what elements were given prioritization in the movie.
Bro, Anakin's Force sucks.
Anyway, ramble over. Which motivation is better? Well, it honestly comes down to what you think of Anakin as a character, and how deep do you want to dive into his personality. Tom would probably say he likes the Disney canon version more.
A lie. Take it out.
Because he doesn't exactly have the highest opinion of Anakin as a character. And to do true justice to his loathing, I'll use his exact words. Anakin is a whiny, entitled little Me, on the other hand, I prefer the Legends version, and to explain why, we'll have to look deeper into Anakin's personality. As always, whenever we delve into this field, I always make a habit of prefacing it by stating I am not a qualified psychologist or psychiatrist. I have some formal education on the topic to confidently talk about it, but I will always give ground to experts and qualified professionals if they make their voices heard. Anyway, there seems to be a consensus among a large majority of the fanbase that Anakin is a raging narcissist.
There's no need to be nice. The man's a prick.
While it's true he does have some narcissistic tendencies, which, to be honest, everyone does to varying degrees, and I do get why people think this about Anakin, because Cluster B personality disorders do have a ton of overlap in their defining traits, it does take more than a bit of entitlement and selfish behavior to be labeled such. The why of Anakin's entitlement and grandiosity, along with his perceived possessiveness of Padme, is a very important thing to consider. That, and Anakin displays behavior that just kind of flies in the face of what you can expect from a narcissist, particularly his tendency to forego self-preservation in favor of saving people he cares about, and is far more in line with what you would expect from someone with a severe case of BPD, otherwise known as borderline personality disorder. This isn't just coming from my own thoughts either. Much like many psychiatrists and psychologists have stated Anton Chigurh is an extremely accurate representation of a psychopath, professionals have also done studies on Anakin and come to the conclusion he has borderline personality disorder, potentially coupled with manic depression. The source of Anakin's grandiosity in his identity is actually highly external, i.e., it doesn't actually come from him having an inflated sense of self-worth. Anakin hasn't told himself he's great as a defense mechanism for internal insecurity, or to receive external validation from those around him like you can expect from a narcissist. In fact, he really doesn't seem to actually care what people think of him. When he acts, it's either in service to those he cares about, or achieving his own objectives. So why does he think he's special? Because he's being told he's special by literally everyone around him. The Jedi feed him ego pie by acknowledging his natural talents and bending rules for him, but if we're being honest, the main source of external hype comes from this wrinkled old fart. Anakin's arrogance and pride is, in a way, him trying to live up to the idea of the chosen one everyone thinks he should be, which actually fosters uncertainty in him and leads to identity disturbance. Anakin has this in spades. He's not sure who he is and has expectations placed on him that are far beyond what he can attain. This fosters immense uncertainty in his sense of self and can actually go a long way in explaining how he was so easily able to separate the identities of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. But the real nail in the narcissistic coffin? Anakin has a serious fear of abandonment, and it shines through in his actions. Literally every desperate, impulsive, and irrational thing this guy does is motivated by the conviction that he will not lose those he holds dear, and this is the crucial differentiator. Anakin's unstable actions are not in service to his self-image or making him look good, but rather in an effort to protect his loved ones and preserve their presence in his life. This is why many misinterpret his toxic, and make no mistake, it is toxic, relationship with Padme. He's not actually possessive of her in the sense he feels entitled to her and that she belongs to him like an object, but rather he is paranoid, both for her safety and just losing her in general. It might sound like it's splitting hairs, but it's genuinely an important distinction to make. And this is why I prefer the Legends explanation over the canon one. It fits more with what we know of the deeper side of Anakin's character, that his desire for the rank of Master is more about attaining a usable resource rather than just mere status. Throughout the movies and Clone Wars, he's incredibly driven by his personal goals, but importantly, not by a desire to make himself look good, but by a desire to get the job done. And more often than not, that job is helping others. And this goes all the way back to Phantom Menace, which in that film alone, he commits to reckless, impulsive, and, let's be honest, rather foolish actions with no other motivation than selflessly helping those in need. It was not for his self-image. He knew damn well he was likely going to get into trouble and be seen as a loose cannon, but he did it anyway. Couple that with his childhood trauma and his fear of abandonment and losing Padme, and it just seems like a title for the sake of a title wouldn't really matter all that much to him. Unless it could give him something that would help him accomplish his personal missions, which, to reiterate, are usually pretty noble. The Disney canon explanation makes Anakin's desire for the rank exclusively character-driven, which I know some people prefer. The onus of Anakin's hissy fit is on him, and underscored solely by his personality traits, which in turn gives both him and us the fans a sense of agency in the situation and leaves it up to us the fans to decide whether or not we think he's justified in his indignation. The Legends explanation, while still having character-driven elements, is more plot-focused, specifically Padme's foreshadowed death. There's no room for interpretation or analysing Anakin's character, apart from maybe thinking he's going about things in general the wrong way. His motivations are good and noble, and unless you're a heartless bastard, you totally get why he's so upset and outraged at being denied what he thinks is the means to save his wife. At the end of the day, it's apples and oranges. So let's find out which you prefer. Which canon do you think did it better? Do you have a different interpretation of Anakin's character, and why he wanted to be a master? Let us know in the comments. And that's our take. Thanks for watching, may the Force be with you, long live the Empire, this is the way, and so on.